to Cafe Stimulate. Grab a seat and your favorite beverage. Conversation downloading.
Oh, he's strong, like his dad.
The baby! Hercules!
Let's just kill the kid and get it over with. Here you go, kid. A little Christian formula. Look at that. Zing, zing. Can we do it now? No. He has to drink the whole potion.
Namaste. The divine in me honors the divine in you. Welcome to Cafe Stimulate. Thanks for stopping by and having coffee with me today. Today's topic is about your divinity. Okay, let me explain the clip that I just presented. This is the movie Hercules. And in this movie, it explains how Hercules fell from being a god to being a human. And if you actually take a look at the subtitles and what the little demon said, he said, I'm going to give him a little Christian formula. And so this is not an attack. This is what they presented in the movie, not me. So keep that in mind. Hopefully this will actually get you into looking at movies on a more deeper level. Because if you went to see this movie and only saw it on a surface level, you would definitely miss what it is all about. Because in this realm, in the Matrix, the messages are always there. But it depends on your perception if you're able to, see those messages. In the movie The Matrix, they had the ones and the zeros that were falling, and nobody else can see it but the people that were, attuned to that frequency. So, when that eye is open, and you're able to see, clearly the messages that have always been before you, and you can actually, take that and make sense of it, because he was a god. The formula was basically him being fed religion. So that's how that came out. And so they said that, the baby had to drink every last drop, but he didn't. He, just like the song said in the movie, that he retained his godlike strength. There's a first clip that I showed. It was supposed to be Zeus. And I know mythology, these are all, different things, mythology. I was just using that clip, that part when he said that, oh, he's strong, like his father. You are created in God's image, but God is a spirit. And you still, retain that spirit. And there are so many qualities and things that you possess of the Father. And we are down here on earth, and not only are we getting to know ourselves, we're getting to understand our godlike strengths and abilities. So if you ever get a chance to watch the movie Hercules, and with your open eye, there are a lot of, key things in there. Even when he comes down to earth and he has to get trained by someone, and his name is Philoctetes. And I'm like, Disney is so nasty, because they're always, if, it can, things can go over if you don't really, look at it. But if you listen to the name and then you watch how they act and how, Philoctetes move, he's always chasing after women and all kinds of, things in the forest. So he's a nasty little goat. But they also did that in Moana too, with Maui, a narcissist. But he says, even in the movie, he goes, the only thing I'm interested in is my hook and keeping my hair silky. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, Disney is something else. And I can't even get started with Pinocchio. I just watch and I kind of, sit back and observe, what things actually go over people's heads. Moving on. This is a topic that's really not really talked about, but it really needs to be understood. It's basically talking about being restored back to your godhood and the things that Hercules, had to do to obtain it. And and one of the things was, because he did all the training, he did all the work, and it was all external things. He became famous, he became a hero, in which the word hero actually means protector and defender. In this world, we've been taught to be afraid of our divinity, and actually, this is what we're here to explore. We're here to discover our power that we need to get back, back to source. Now, we're never separated from source, but we are on a lower plane of existence. But it's all because of, process. We're like the babies of this whole thing. Like, we're trying to develop certain things within us that's going to build us into these indestructible beings. Okay, so right now we are experiencing a very fragile part of ourselves, but everything that we go through is, unto purpose. And I've said this before, like I've actually created like 2 videos that, ye are gods. And, some people would take this as being like having a God complex, as you would say. And if you say something like that, well, just let's be honest, this is not something that you go out into the world saying that I'm a god. Okay? It's not something that you actually like tell people, because they will think you're crazy. This is a state of being. This is a conscious awareness that you are taking on. And this is not for just no reason for me to be telling you that you're a god. You actually have to believe and embody this knowing, because by rejecting the thought of it, you're also rejecting, its power. How we say that God is within us? And there's a scripture that says, the kingdom of God is within us. Yes. But you have to think about it. If it's within you, it's in you. It's the I am. When Moses came to the burning bush and God was giving him all those directions, and he was kind of scared, because he was like, well, I don't speak all that well. And there are other people who have that ability to do that. Why don't you choose them? And he was talking like his brother Aaron, that his brother Aaron was a good natural speaker. But according to the Bible story, it said that God got angry with him, which, I don't think it was an anger. It was like a righteous way of, like, because Moses did not know, until he met God, that God is actually moving through him and would be, going forth with him to do these amazing things. And that's kind of the state of being in which the humans are in this powerless state. We're not supposed to have power. And that's the reason why a lot of people who come down here always wind up getting killed by the powerless beings. And I thought that was interesting too, because I watched the movie Wicked, if you haven't seen that. And I watch a lot of movies and I enjoy them because I'm able to see them from a spiritual perspective. And so once you are seeing, through that eye, that spiritual eye of perception, you kind of, you can't unsee anything anymore. You see it, and you kind of see everything in that spiritual perspective. That's the same thing with the Bible or any spiritual text that I read. Many people can read the book on a surface level and, take what they see in that book and, they take it verbatim, like this is this and this is how this story goes and this is how it has to be. But as you grow in the spiritual, as you move from frequency to frequency, as you gain more wisdom, each of these frequencies will give you a different perception of life. And which is very necessary for us not to skip the process of, what God is doing within us. Just like I spoke about in another reading about people running and trying to go and blow open their, third eye so they can see into the spirit realm. And, that's crazy because there's processes, to this. And, divine isn't going to let you blow past all the necessary processes because each step is very, very important to your becoming. So it's just like you're going to bake a cake and, you leave out some eggs and you leave out some ingredients and things like that, things that are essential. Well, in this day and age, yes, I know they'll find out how to make cakes without eggs and things like that. Okay. But, just leaving that as a little example. Okay. We cannot, skip over the processes in which God is trying to take us, because when we arrive to where we're supposed to be in being, there's always like more further instructions. Okay. But you need to actually understand the reason why you went through certain things. Like we go through all these different ranges of emotions, and people wonder why is there suffering? Why do we have to go through suffering to understand this? And I'll talk about this in another video, why it's important for you to tap into your emotions, because it connects to another gift. So I'm not giving that away before I actually, explain why your emotions are connected to other gifts, because, basically your emotions are energy, and how we use that energy actually as a language in the spirit. Not only in the physical, but through the spirit, we communicate through our emotions as well. And so, going on, I was talking about Moses. And so, he said he got mad because he had said that, he had that doubt within him that he wouldn't be able to convey the messages or do what God has called him to do. And he told him, he was like, well, what should I call you? And in the Bible, let me say it right, it says Ahaya Asher Ahaya. And if I said it wrong, my bad. And so, meaning I am that I am. What did I do? Okay. Here we are in Hebrew. Yes, it says I am and I be. There was some more I was able to pull up long time ago, but they don't have that anymore. Okay, I'll go with this. It says I am, I will become what I choose to become, or I am the existing one. All right, so that came from, Ahaya, Usher, Ahaya. If you want to look it up on your own. And basically he was like, who do I tell the people, who you are? But he told him to come in the name of I am. So basically, Moses was showing up with the Spirit of God within him, saying, I am. And some people say, God is within me, but you can't say God is within me and also reject his power. You are his child. So you were created. You are an extension of him. And this is not to say that, oh, I am the all-powerful one. Let's look at this from a way of the spirit and not ego. Okay? And Jesus was also called Emmanuel, God here on earth, in which you are all gods here on earth, but you are in your human form. And so therefore he has made you a little lower than the angels at this point. Why? Because it's just like, I'm explaining like this. It's just like you are a baby, but you got some processes to grow and develop before becoming a full-fledged adult. Okay? So there are some things you need to know, and some things that you have to go through in, your early stages of life. And before you get ready to go on to be, to be this full adult with this awareness. And basically that's what this is about, that we are down here on this earth growing and coming into the knowing of our divinity, I am. And the importance of knowing this is because last time I talked about the devil and how I don't F with the devil, and how and how I pretty much do like I do with anything else that I don't F with, is, it doesn't exist, right? Well, when you do that, you are calling back your power, and you can't overcome something that you fear. That's the reason why God is always telling us not to fear, because when you throw fear in there, then how are you, you got all these thoughts and reasons why you shouldn't, that you give yourself. It's that self-sabotage. And that's what this world wants you to do, is to, sabotage yourself all on your own. And therefore you never really come into being what God is calling you to be. So there can't be no devil in the world to stop you or block you. I'm not saying that demonic people are not going to try, but you are not going to give away your power by giving it all your attention. And that's what they want. They'll dance and they'll play all these games and schemes all behind your back and doing all kinds of silliness, trying to rise up an army of flying monkeys behind you. That happened in the movie Wicked. You know, raising up these monkeys, and you know, just so that you can focus on what they're doing, and they're being a distraction instead of you know, cultivating your life force energy. You've already came here with a certain amount of life force energy. But while you're here on earth, you're supposed to amplify it, because that's what you're going to need to catapult you out of this realm of existence. And yes, if you are growing your power, if you are stepping into your God, I am energy, you can expect the flocks, the flying monkeys to come. Why? Because they're flocking like a moths to a flame. You know, they want to hover around it, and God knows what, you know, someone try to snuff your flame out. But your job is to not let them snuff your flame out. You know, they try to make you feel like, you know, you're low and you're like just this evil and worst thing, so that you won't blossom into this being, you know, you're supposed to be. And a lot of them come to try to cover you. That's why they got to get a lot of people. They got to cover you up so that you don't ever, you know, break out of this matrix. They are not really interested in escaping. Like, I'm not saying that you're trying to escape the matrix or whatever, but you are doing what you can to rise above this frequency. That's why you're not supposed to conform to it. But there'll be a lot of things in this world that will be very enticing, that's going to make you feel like, you know, maybe I can, you know, settle in to, you know, this frequency. And so I'm not saying that you become so spiritual that you're there's a scripture, I gotta find that. Don't be so spiritual that you're no earthly good. Okay? Because if you come too spiritual, then you know you kind of lose your connection, you know, with people, and they're watching you very closely. And it, in a way, it has its effect, because if they truly in their heart themselves desire a relationship with God, they too are inwardly seeking for signs of God everywhere. And the only sign that they may come across is you. So, you know, wear, you know, this spirit, or this spirit that's in you well, and demonstrate it well, and really show, you know, in this, you know, dense body, you know, what it do. Because this meat suit is basically, you know, it's here to keep you grounded here in reality. But you're supposed to grow in your, you know, attach into the spirit and grow in spirit to be a stronger spiritual being, because God is a spirit. There's a scripture also in the Bible that says he created you in his image. Now, and God is a spirit. So of course he wasn't talking about you as a human, a meat suit being. He was talking about you also deriving from spirit. You have a spiritual nature. So why wouldn't he want his child to be like him? And then everybody brings up the thing about the devil, and they say, well, the reason why the devil got cast down is because, you know, he wanted to be like God. That is not the reason why, you know, the Lucifer came to be. The reason why Lucifer came to be is because he was asked, like the angels were asked to serve the humans, but they couldn't, you know, in their mind, they was thinking like, you know, they're the seniors. Like, we was already here before the humans. We're higher than the humans. So why do we serve them? Why shouldn't they serve us? And, you know, well, in God's eyes, you know, we're all one. If you think about the angels and, you know, the higher, you know, spiritual beings, you know, we are all like family. And basically, Lucifer was like, why do we have to babysit them instead of, you know, them just, you know, just being our slaves or something? And that's not, you know, God was like, that's not the point. He was like, you'll go down there, and basically you're there to guide them through their processes, so that when they come back up, you know, you help them to grow into their divinity. And basically Lucifer didn't like that, and that was his rebellion, his reason for rebellion, because he refused to be lower than some humans. But it really wasn't about being lower. It was just, you know, a part of service. Now, I don't want to get too far in talking about, you know, about service, because we have a balance where, yes, we learn that the universe is here to, you know, serve us, and not get out of your ego. Meaning that through the alchemy of how we handle our situations, everything is meant to work out for our good. Even if it's looking quite bad, it will work out for our good, meaning God will get the glory at the end, because you will step into your divinity. You will be this divine being, you know, this glory unto God. There's also another scripture too, about the potter's wheel, and how the potter saw that the pot that he first had created was broken, but he used the same clay, the Mari clay, smashed it down and recreated it again. That's your power to be rebirthed again, which the humans have suppressed, that you are able to reincarnate on this, you know, in this earth, because you are a forever living being. The laws of conservation energy says that energy cannot be, you know, created or destroyed, meaning that the energy in all the world or whatever have all existed within source, all of it. And so there is no energy in this world that is like it all, you know, derives from, you know, itself. I hope that makes sense. So even if you become a low form of energy, then in a way it is going to be able to be recycled into, you know, either a renewed energy, or it's going to be created for something. Because even if the energy is evil on this side, right, that energy is going to be used as resistance to the higher energy. And the reason why it's going to be used as resistance is because it's going to be used to bring the higher good and magnify the energy of the positive or the conscious energy. So basically, whether you choose to be of that positive energy or that negative energy, God is going to get his glory out of you. It's kind of like when a diamond is being cut, but in order to cut another diamond, I didn't enter that right. Okay. In order for a diamond to be cut, it has to be cut by another diamond. And meaning that entity or that thing is probably coming up against you, is probably just as strong as you. All right. Because it's also a created being, but it's using its power in the wrong way. Okay. So you coming up, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like how you use your power. It doesn't like that you have the ability to be stronger, than them. But, God will allow, this clash between energies to happen so that the good energy will prevail and become, will understand its power and its ability to overcome, anything. And just like that movie I always talk about, The Last Dragon, you see how meek and how at peace, he was very, he was very in tune, and he was very, he just really was. I just like his being, the way he was. Okay. And did you see Sho'nuff was his enemy, and Sho'nuff was very, very, very strong, but at the same time he was in his ego. But he wanted to fight Leroy because everybody knew that Leroy around the block, around the neighborhood, that he was the best at Kung Fu. So Sho'nuff wanted to challenge him and take him out to prove that he was actually better or the best. You see how petty that is, and Leroy had no intention or even cared about how this Sho'nuff thought about him, or to even compete with him, because he was on a higher state of mind. He was really Zen mode, in his life. And that's how you really know if somebody is walking, the path. They're not really here to fight anybody. They're here to improve their inner selves. While the other one, the Sho'nuff, he was always surrounded by people. And people was always there to pump up his BS. And he was being destructive and going around the neighborhood, just being what a destructive person does. But at the end, you would see that they had that clash where they actually had to fight. And Leroy fought because he had to. And then when he fought, he actually overcame, Sho'nuff. By at the end, what did he say? He was like, "Who's the master? Who's the master?" And he was just like, "I am." I love that part. I am. He had to come into the knowing that I am. The power is in me. He had to find out that the God that he was searching for would already exist within him. He just had to activate that power to overcome what Sho'nuff was like a devil figure, right? He had to overcome his fear of, I'm not gonna say he feared Sho'nuff or whatever, because he had a little quiet confidence about himself, but he was just this weird dude that was going around seeking, to just destroy and fight. But you can't have no fear of the devil if your intention is to defeat him, because if he already has you in fear, he's already defeated you. So that's why on this earth we fear nothing. And so because we know that the power of God within us, that exists within us, is bigger, greater, and stronger. So when we come against all these things, in the world, you have to keep that in mind. It's very quiet, just like in a scripture that also says that we overcome, evil with good. So just like our Father is a good God, we also are a good God with the little g. Okay? Not with your ego. No, this is by the Spirit. And by you recognizing that you are a God, you'll be able to see this is giving you a different perception of way of being and seeing yourself. And we'll stop being like these helpless beings. If we've been taught to pray, but we haven't been taught to pray in a way where we call down things that are rightfully, ours in the Spirit. That's why Jesus also said, he said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He was showing people that these things that you are in need of, they are there, but you have to, he said, if you have not because you ask not. And some people be like, oh, I do ask, but it doesn't come down. But you have to have the right intention and for what you are asking for. Like a lot of people, ask for money, cars, clothes, and all these things. What for? Like, so you can go and flaunt them and show them to people. You're not learning anything of the Spirit by that. Are you asking for the things that, you are actually in need of? I'm not saying that you can't manifest the things that you want in life. That is your God-given ability to do. You're here to play. You know what? You're like, I have that life force manifestation ability within me, and you have the right to play. You have the right to actually tap into it and see if you can bring forth that thing that you was wanting to accomplish, or that thing that you was wanting to achieve, or what. You have that right. That's how you strengthen, your spiritual gifts. Not only that, that's how you build confidence that you are a spiritual being, when you start to call those things that are not as though they are. So don't ever, like, you want a new house, ain't nothing wrong with you, wanting a new house. But at the deep root of that issue, of you getting a house, I'm just getting a new house so I can flaunt it. No. If you get a new house, she was like, I get a new house, but yeah, it's something that I manifested because I wanted a home for my family. But I also, you're stepping into your abilities to believe and have faith and call those things forth. I remember when I was listening to a sermon when I was like 19. And it was by Tony Evans, and he was talking about faith, and he was talking about practicing faith. And what he was talking about, even if you go into a parking lot and pray that, like just having faith, this is starting small, right? Because eventually when you have faith in the little things, you'll go on into the bigger things, and say, I'm going to, manifest me getting like a closer spot, and you go in there in great faith that you're going to get this closer spot, right? And so I started doing that. And, you may call it coincidence, but I don't think things are coincidence. I'm like, okay, well, great. Then I started doing it with other small things like, just like anything, whether it's getting a job or, saying that I want this position here. But also too, you have to also think about the divine and, how that also is at play in your life. Because just because you go forth and want a position and you don't get it, just think that the divine is in control. Because I've had things happen to me where I wanted something and I had to miss out on what I thought I wanted, and then God actually had put something, better. And I was like, wow, in its place. Okay, I'll say this. Prime example, like I had needed a car, and so I had a smaller car at that time, but I knew that my family was growing and I was going to need, a bigger car. And so I went in to the car dealership and I was looking for vans. And I was like, okay, I see this van. I think it was a Dodge van, and what they were showing me. And I was like, okay, well, this little Dodge, it looks nice. It was like a basic model van, but, it was clean. It was nice. I was like, okay, well, I'll take this van, right? And so, after, I don't know why in the heck you go into dealerships, and I don't know why they haven't figured out by now how to make the process shorter. It takes so long to go into a dealership and go get a car and walk like out with a car. It's like crazy. It takes like literally hours, to actually go through the process of getting a car. And so they told me after we did all the work and everything that the car that I just picked out, it wasn't there. It wasn't available. And I was like, well, oh shucks, I need a car today. But they was just like, wait, we have another van. And I was like, oh God. He was like, let me show you this van. It was like, we're gonna have to bring it from another dealership down. It was like, but you can definitely take this one today. And I was like, okay, well, let me see. So they brought it down from another dealership, and actually this van was a luxury van, and the van had all the bells and whistles. It had the leather seats, and it had all the two TVs and all the the Bose systems and all that stuff. And and there basically was giving me this van around the same price as this other van. And I was like, okay, well, great. So I actually fell in love with that van. And I was like, that was, to me, was also an example of, you may want something, but God actually, might want better for you. So it's always this interplay, yeah, there are things that you want, but if you don't exactly get it, or something doesn't happen the way that you want it to, and just think about it, like, the divine wants the best for you. And they will allow things to not work out. They'll allow things not to happen. And so what it does, it encourages you to have more faith and to expect more out of life, because we are always in this cycle of creation. And that creative life force ability is in you. And it's your job to nurture it. So when it comes to manifestation, that's in everyone to explore and for everyone to cultivate within themselves. Okay? And so, back on the part with believing and this spiritual being that you are. My intro is about the divine in me, honoring the divine in you. It's because I do see it in myself, and you should also see it in yourself too. But just like in ancient culture in Egypt, despite what, certain things may make you think about, Egypt, remember there were certain times in Egypt where Egypt was actually being conquered and taken over, by Romans and things. So you have to understand what part of, ancient Egypt that we're talking, because Egypt gets more ancient, okay, than what they have put on or they've been showing us, okay? It gets deeper than that. And the culture before that, they respected women and they respected each other as gods and goddesses on this earth. Seeing each other as, as divine beings. And that's why a lot of our education and the things that we know today derive from there, despite them stealing everything from it and scattering all the information abroad and, to covet it for themselves, basically, to make themselves seem like they are the wise ones. And yes, I have this information, and they always try to cover up where do you get that information from? So anywho, but yeah, despite that, yes, we want to kind of once again, bring that type of connection back to the communities where we actually respect each other as, divine beings, and we respect each other's insight and wisdom and what people bring forth. As for me, when people bring a certain wisdom, forth, you have to understand that different truths exist on, different frequencies. I'm not going to dismiss, certain things, because I know that some people are on different frequencies. I know, like, I've listened to certain people, they will tell you that all this stuff don't exist. And you know what? I believe them. But I understand too that there are people on other frequencies that are not really there or in that level of consciousness to really accept that. And so this makes me think of Bumblebee, the Transformers. And Bumblebee, he was called Bumblebee, but bees are actually what they are called messengers of God. And him being that robot Bumblebee, he was like presenting himself like a messenger, remember, because he had to go find the kid to give him that message. But he said that his voice box got damaged in battle, and so he had to learn how to tune into the radio frequencies, frequency waves, radio waves, and he was switching between the frequencies to, bring forth, a message. And that's how he was able to, deliver, the information that he needed to by switching through the different frequencies. And that's why also it's important that you trust the process in this spiritual walk, because you're being taken through all these different frequencies, because on these different frequencies, they do have different perceptions or lenses on how to see, a thing. And so on one level, it can, I'll just say, for example, it can be a very surface level of understanding, but even at its surface level, it still holds that truth. And then as a person's conscious, begins to evolve in consciousness, they'll be able to take whatever that information was, or whatever that thing is, and see it from a different perspective, or a higher perspective. It was interesting because Jesus, he said that when he spoke to people, he used parables. He told the stories to convey to them, messages, spiritual messages. And that's kind of how I see a lot of spiritual texts now, because I believe that they understood that there were colonizers and people that came around to take their spiritual, knowledge. But it's like the spiritual messages are encrypted, though. Like, they gave them the surface level stories, but only one who has that eye open, has that connection to be able to discern, spiritual things, can really decode those messages, almost like the Da Vinci Code. They do the Bible and it was finding all those messages and things like that, or whatever. This is just not the Bible. This is other spiritual messages as well. To be able to, from a surface level, you can read the stories and you can still get a good truth, a good message. But people who have really, grown in their connection and in their consciousness, are able to grasp more concepts and things. And not only that, because all things are connected, people who actually come into, conscious awareness, they're able to draw these connections of all things and find out what this connects and how all this comes together. And you wonder, how are they able to see that so quickly? How are they able to find those connections, because everything is one. How can you take something from scripture and then also see how it connects with science? Because all science is telling you about is, it was trying to put its factual way of how it comes about. But, scripture can say a thing, like how they talk about in the beginning in Genesis, and how they explain the world, coming about. But then science has its way, but in a way it's still kind of saying the same thing. It's just more, technical about it. So that's what we're getting at. We have found ourselves, even though we have dispersed, away from, the divine light. That's why we have, all this separation down here. But if we have the divine within us, we are supposed to find how to bring it all back together and bring all the darkness and, integrate it all back into the light. That's what we, are here to do. And by this world telling you and making you feel like some insignificant being, telling you that you only live once, like you come here, God didn't care about you and your life and your situation. Look what he did to you. Look where he put you. This is where he allowed you to be. He didn't care, and make people believe that BS. Then they've already given up on life to make you self-sabotage yourself in life. And you don't even know that they put you in this, instead of you evolving, and becoming, this being who's coming into the knowing and knowledge of God, and you come into that of yourself, and you've grown as a light, and you really learning how to harness this life force energy. They just want you to come right back unevolved, so that they can keep putting you in this state of slavery, of mental slavery over you. Let me read this too. I want to talk about this manipulative thing that they're doing. Okay, so I got these little notes that I'm going to read off of, but it's to bring to light, if they are successful with their ability to make you self-sabotage, this life, and to give up and give in on this life. No, you get to, you as a divine being, you are having these experiences so that you could learn. It is actually impossible to learn all these spiritual things, in one lifetime. And so you are given these chances to grow, along the span of all these different lives. So this one life is not the book. This one life is only a chapter of your book of life. Okay, so don't get mad, and I'm not telling anybody, trigger warning, not to get into their feelings about like your state of being. I'm trying to tell you this in a very loving way, that everything has purpose. Let's say that, if you come down with like a disability or something, even in that disability, God is doing something to strengthen your being. This life that you live is temporary. And even though you can think like, what's the lifespan? The lifespan today, because, the food here is like, they're always doing things like spraying, pesticides and things, and we're not really even getting the true nutrition that we need to have, because we can live longer. There are other countries where people are living much longer, but I think the lifespan is like 75 years or something like that. But that's cool, even if you got 75 years, right? There is another scripture that says one day, one day in God, like basically our lifespan, I was trying to pull it up, that our lifespan or whatever is like a day with the Lord. I think it said 1,000 years is like one day with God, in God. So it just shows you, you can't really measure time, in the spirit or whatever. Time is just like something that's here on this realm. So there was another movie, I can't remember what it was called, where they was I don't know, I think it was Ant-Man. Yeah, I think it was Ant-Man, when he was sent out into space, and I think he was in a black hole, and he went into that black hole into space, and they said, well, you need to hurry up and get in and out of there. He was like, because like you'll lose time. So he went out there into that water in space, like they was on this planet, and he got lost, and to him it was only like 10 minutes, right? And by the time he got back, he had lost like 30 years. His daughter was already full grown, and they thought that they had lost him. So kind of like from that. So you think that your life, here is very long to endure. And I'm not trying to take away from, whatever you're going through or what you may be feeling, or whatever sufferings that you're going through in this life. and whatever you're going through can make it feel very, very, very long, especially if you spend a lot of time in depression. But in God's timing is actually really short. Like I said, this lifetime is just a chapter. He has every love in him to see you be the glory that he is calling you to be. There was a story of Jesus, and they asked him, it was a family that asked him, like, what did the parents do to make their son blind? That was the question. What did they do? What wrong did they cause? And Jesus said, it's not the parents, fault. He said, it's so that the glory of God would be, be presented, through this man. And to listen to that, you'll be like, well, how is the glory of God being? Well, if you think about it, and this is just just an aspect. There's many different types of aspects, but this is just one. When somebody loses like a sense, or let's say like something like eyesight, or they're born with blind, or that all the other senses tend to heighten, and those senses become more powerful because the sight isn't there. And when you think about it, we are actually using these senses and things like that we experience to actually heighten, as far as, because we're getting knowledge from all the stimuli and things around us. And so even though someone might spend a lifetime blind, like let's say for instance Ray Charles. Have you seen the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx? How actually when he was young he lost his eyesight, but his mom had told him, don't look for anybody to feel sorry for him. And if that sounds crazy, I'm like, it's not that I'm very sensitive with this issue. And because he listened to his mom, he didn't allow his sight to, take him out of what he was meant to be. You know what I'm saying? He had to learn to strengthen himself and move past all those things. Yeah, people deceived him and was trying to get over on him because he was blind. But despite all of that, look who Ray Charles came to be. He became a very, famous rhythm and blues man. And he even, developed another skill of playing music. So he was able to tap into, all these different things within himself, all without having sight. I've also seen a lot of people with disabilities. If you watch today, they are so strong. I seen one man, he didn't have any arms or legs, and he's swimming in a major competition, and they call him the Torpedo, and he swims his butt off. He found his way in his niche in life. And the reason why we honor, these things that that people go through, because you are not exempt, anyone, from this experience of actually, experiencing a handicap situation. Okay? All of us will be born into one of these situations that causes us to, in a way, have to overcome, our circumstances, have to overcome, the things that are going on with the body, because in a way we have to have balance in how we actually move with the body and understand the body, but actually still possess this kind of detachment. Everybody passes away at different times in their experiences, anywhere from being children to being 100 years old. Nobody's exempt. Everybody has different experiences where they come and go into these experiences at different times. And so but yeah, and as far as like having the handicaps and things like that, we all will, because it's all part of us coming one with the understanding and knowing, and we are all be able to connect on a spiritual level, on a conscious level, and convey that, like, whatever you experience in your life, you may have, like, for instance, like a certain handicap, but another being is going to experience a different type of handicap. But in a way, you both have different experiences, but you both have your understandings about it. If all this is making sense. Okay? And basically there's a scripture that says, well, all you're getting, get understanding. In each one of these experiences, you're supposed to get understanding. There may be somebody that experiences an extreme way of suffering, but you as a being will also experience, through a different lifetime or another, a extreme way of suffering, because all of us will understand, suffering. All of us will understand the greatest joys and the greatest happiness. Like that rainbow, that from that red to that purple, you're going to experience everything and everything in between, because it comes to so you have that knowing it, because I said I was going to talk about, in another one, how your emotions are going to connect to a gift. Okay. Whew. Goodness gracious. Let me get back to you being a God, because this is getting long. You being a God, and it's a quiet thing. It's an inner knowing. It's not something that you go out and use that to like control people, like the government and stuff is doing. It's just a state of being, and it's another way for you to connect with God, and you're telling God that I understand. And a lot of people, I wanted to say this, reject it. A lot of them reject it because they don't like the responsibility that is now over their head when they take, on that state of being, because they know that it is a lot of responsibility, and they rather stay helpless. They rather stay, I'm just this weak being, and I'm out here in the elements and everything is attacking me, and there's nothing that I can do about it kind of mind state, instead of stepping in your power and getting in your warrior energy and taking it on and saying, bump that, y'all ain't gonna do that to me. We step into our power, and we start setting boundaries, and we start having standards, and we start really expecting the things in this world to serve us in a way. But also we have that balance of we both give and receive. So we know that. But let me say this real quick about the objective of getting the outer external world to get one to self-sabotage. And it says the manipulator often gains an advantage rooted in control, power, or achieving their personal objectives. This dynamic can manifest in various ways, and the advantages they perceive depend on their intent. Okay, and so these are the advantages that someone might have, causing another person to self-sabotage. And now also too, you'll understand why this psychology and this mind stuff is so deep, and really, how the world is trying to actually mind control you. Remember the subconscious mind, and get you to come in conformity with all its mess, so it can continue to keep its control. It says to maintain its power, and it says psychological dominance. If a person can manipulate someone into doubting themselves or making destructive decisions, it gives them a sense of superiority and control over the individual. Think about the governments and things. And not only, a lot of you people, you have experienced extreme amount of manipulation from people, but on the on the micro level. But the thing is once you're able to heal yourself and get out of yourself, you'll be able to see that same manipulation that's going on a macro level. That's when you start seeing it really, how this matrix is set up and what it's doing. And once you come into now you can tap into the game instead of, wanting to tap out the game. You'll really understand how it's being played, right? Because the whole part of you stepping into your divine God power ability is because God, He is a spirit. He works through you. And you, being of God, being of spirit, you also learn that ability to work, like it's through influence, to work through, the world. You connecting with, the earth, and you're learning to work as a part, being part spirit on this earth. You are also learning to work through things. There's a part in the Matrix with Neo, when he defeated the enemy. What happened? He was able to jump through the enemy and destroy him from the inside out. And remember, the enemy in the Matrix was they was working through people. And that's why in that other video I talked about Constantine and how she was like, you want me to believe in the devil, but it's people who, kill people. Yes, that energy is in them. Okay, so I believe in that too. It's people who kill people. Whatever, it's people who chose not to, evolve in their their mental state. And so they go out there and do dangerous things, hurt people. Okay? But when it comes to Neo in the Matrix, he was able, Morpheus has said it. He was like, are you telling me that when I'm ready, I'll be able to dodge bullets? He said, no, Neo. When you're ready, I'm telling you, you wouldn't have to. Because now you're working through the energy. You already came up out the physical of trying to physically fight these beings and stuff down here on Earth. Now you're getting into, because the universe is mind. The all is mind and the universe is mental. Now you're just operating through pure energy now. Okay? So he was like, no, it's no touch, no need to have hand-to-hand contact here. This ain't no hand-to-hand battle. This is a battle in the spirit now. With y'all don't even know when you're when certain people come up against you, they're battling your team on the other side, and you're like, oh well, how do you have a team? Well, because you are a divine being. Every divine being comes with divine help. And I hope I don't get nobody confused down here, but because remember, like in the Bible, it talks about y'all being brides, like brides of Christ, but now we know it's more of Christ consciousness. Now that you are a bride, every bride comes with handmaidens. If you read the Bible, all the brides that they was always bringing, they always had about 1 or 2 or 3 handmaidens that that their father sent with them to be as helpers. So your angels, your messengers, your spirit guides, whoever you want to call them on the side, they are divine helpers that every royal divine being receives to help guide you, on this mission, because they want to see you get higher. It's just like, he's not going to send you down here without no teachers to help guide you through this. You have, divine help if you allow yourself, to connect. And another thing is, those divine helpers are supposed to help you, but how they're supposed to help you if you don't give them the access to the realm to be able to help you? You have to speak. You have to understand that they exist to help you. But the only way they can work through, the earth is if you give them your divine access to work through you. So when they come through, they're working off of your energy. Because you gave them the authority to take hold in matters on your behalf. So you have to know that. Let me get back to this. It's psychological, all this stuff that the universe is all is mind, universe is mental, and I'm going to start reading this. If a person can manipulate someone into doubting themselves or making destructive decisions, it gives them a sense of superiority and control over. Okay, I think I read that. Dependency creation. Encouraging self-sabotage can make the victim feel less capable or reliant on the manipulator for guidance, validation, or decision making. That's why people are always making them cliques, because those people who stay in cliques, they are reliant on their guidance, their validation, and decision making. And you have to be careful who you get with these days. People who rely on it. Families can also be cliques too. Okay, when they rely too much and not on their own intuition, and they're not, allowing themselves to be guided, in their inner knowing, you're not growing in that way. I'm not saying that you can't be in communities of people where y'all support each other and stuff like that, but that's different than being in a little clique where y'all feed off each other's negativity. Elimination of competition. A professional advantage. In work environments, getting someone to undermine their own success, missing deadlines, underperforming, allows the manipulator to outshine them or climb the ranks without direct confrontation. Social standing. Causing someone to sabotage their relationships or a reputation can diminish their influence, leaving more room for the manipulator to assert themselves. Avoiding blame. Indirect sabotage. By influencing someone to act against their best interests, the manipulator avoids being directly blamed for the outcome. They can frame the victim as the sole cause of their downfall. Perceiving innocence. the manipulator may appear supportive or uninvolved, allowing them to maintain a facade of goodwill while benefiting from the victim's struggles. Projection of power. Projection. If the manipulator feels insecure or threatened by another's potential, causing them to self-sabotage, provides reassurance of their own superiority. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. Encouraging failure in others might validate the manipulator's own limiting beliefs of fears, such as nobody succeeds in this field or people always makes mistakes. Okay, and it goes more because I don't want this to get too long, but let me read this last thing and I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. The advantage for someone who causes another to self-sabotage typically lies in control, personal gain, or reducing perceived threats. This dynamic reflects a toxic imbalance and a lack of mutual respect and integrity in the relationships. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up with that or whatever. So basically, this whole thing of self-sabotage comes from, what the world is, trying to get you to do, is self-sabotage yourself. That's why it tells you you only live once, so why even try, why even care about this life like that? Go ahead and live wild and free. Not saying that you can't be wild and free. You know what I'm saying? But it causes you to do things like there are people out there that rob banks and steal because they feel like, hey, well, I only live once and I'm gonna live it how I can get it, and they're actually going the wrong ways about things because they don't even understand that they're creating this revolving door of karma, because we are always in this constant way of creating, this constant state of creating. So as you live in your present, you're actually creating your future and future chapters and lifetimes to come by what you do today. And by them having you self-sabotage yourself, instead of you being that dreamer today, being that one that steps boldly in your endeavors and the things that you want to create and the things that you want to do, you're sabotaging yourself because you're not cultivating in yourself to be a risk taker. You're not cultivating in yourself to be one of those people that chase after, your dream or your desire, or to even feel like that is possible for me. You're not cultivating within yourself to say, you know what, I can go forth and I can do this. That's how they get you to self-sabotage, yourself. For example, I can use Cat Williams, for example, when he spoke about, because I was listening to that podcast about him and his life, and how he spoke about he was in a household who had a belief system. And to me, a certain belief system can put like this perception, or these glasses of different perception over your eyes and how you see the world. But instead he left, and even though he experienced homelessness, he got a chance, to experience the world and see some things. And eventually the things he saw out there in the world caused him to, turn his life around. And, he got to, where he is today, just by living. Yes, you make mistakes. Yeah. Things happen, You just experience things, but through those experiences, he's allowed himself to grow. And as you see now, with all that Diddy stuff and that's coming out and things like that, he allowed what he learned in those areas to so that he won't never get caught up in so badly wanting to be so accepted that you'll do anything. And it taught him to draw back, so he didn't accept to do anything. He decided just to take his own way, and there was many opportunities that was presented to him that he could have took for millions of dollars, but through wisdom he understood that all money ain't good money. So, and he's able to live freely in his truth while everybody else is scattered and scared. Okay, so you can step into your godhood. Don't let nobody scare you away, make you self-sabotage you and making you think that to make you think that the God in you is not living and not alive. You are allowed by divine birthright to claim that energy and use it, that life force energy, to defeat the negativity and the bad things on this earth. You have to sometimes step into that I am energy to come against all these evil mindsets and subconscious ways of thinking that people try to place upon you. You need that to break free for you to be this sovereign being. You are a child of God. You don't need no other labels to hold you, because a lot of times a lot of people just want to label you so they'll know how to judge you. So you are a child of light. You are a child of God. Yes, you respect that power that he has given you to work with. And no, he will not be mad at you. He will actually be proud of you. What father would have let's say have a child and they step into their power that was birthed through them? That was birthed. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had a child that you birthed, and with the life force that was in you, and they grow up to do something great or something even greater than what you did, how not happy, or proud would you be of that creation? And it's definitely a creation unto glory. So I'm going to end it with that. Thanks for stopping by and having coffee with me today. And I hope you've enjoyed this message. I hope there was something that you found in it that can, help you on your journey. If not, then ashe, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for stopping in. If you would like to contact me, email me at cafestimulate@outlook.com. Thanks again. Bye.